Downtown is an American animated series that aired on the MTV cable network. The show premiered on August 3, 1999, and ended its run on November 8th of the same year after only 13 episodes. The story follows the colorful, wacky, and often relatable lives of 8 different characters, some of whom are close friends, living in New York City, specifically in the Lower East Side of Manhattan. Although the show was short-lived, it managed to capture a cult following in recent years. I, like many other fans of the show, have discovered and enjoyed watching the episodes on YouTube thanks to this wonderful channel, CKS Richardson. This channel, along with a few others, has provided many tidbits, such as the behind-the-scenes footage and a couple of the real-life interviews that inspired the characters from the show. This has given the fandom something extra to indulge in after having binged all 13 episodes. If it weren't for the uploads by these channels, most of the show would have likely been lost to obscurity, as Paramount, the parent company of MTV, has never released an official DVD for the show, and it's not available on their streaming platform, Paramount+. After having watched everything about the show on YouTube, I began to wonder if there was more information out there about it, considering that we may never get a revival of the original show due to many reasons, most notably the passing of some of the voice actors. I was motivated to look deeper into everything related to MTV's Downtown. After scouring the internet and compiling the most interesting pieces of information about the show, I am proud to present MTV's Downtown Iceberg. So, starting off in Tier 1, we have episodes 1 through 12, which are the episodes that are available on YouTube, again thanks to channels like CKS Richardson. Next on my list is 13th episode, titled Trip or Treat. Even though this episode is available in the same playlist with the rest of the episodes on YouTube, I thought it deserved its own spot since, interestingly enough, the creators of the show referred to it as being lost, presumably because, to their knowledge, it went unaired on the MTV network. Up next is the animatic. For those unaware, an animatic is essentially an animated storyboard. Oftentimes, they include voice acting and music. Its purpose is to get a sense of what the finished animation will look and sound like. The animatic that is available on YouTube is mistakenly titled as MTV's Downtown Pilot by the uploader. The actual pilot of the series is titled Sin Bin. This next one focuses on the street interview with the unknown person who inspired the character Serena on the show. The interview available on YouTube is 2 minutes and 5 seconds long. What's even more interesting is that over 53,000 people must have thought that they saw the complete interview. Surprisingly enough, there is a version out there that is actually around 3 minutes long. Up next is the behind-the-scenes footage that is also available on YouTube thanks to a channel called Yoav Levin. Chris Pernosky, the creator of the show, and George Christic, the story editor, sit down and talk about all the work that went into making the show. The footage is close to 13 minutes long and features a plethora of information that includes things like Pernosky's initial pitch of the show, background art, inspiration for the character designs, and personalities. One of the most interesting things mentioned in this interview comes from Ann Bernstein, the head writer of the show, and her concern with Pernosky's idea for an episode. The idea was to have Chaka shave her private area and take a picture of it only to accidentally lose it later in the episode. Bernstein was against this idea, exclaiming that it is sexist and it just isn't something that girls do. It was only when it was pitched to Abby Turkle, the president of MTV Animation, that the idea was given the green light to be made into an episode. Pernosky worried that when the script for the episode would be given to Leora Zuberman, Chaka's voice actress, that she would not want to go through with it. Ironically enough, during the read-through of the script, Zuberman confronted Pernosky asking, "How did you know that actually happened to me?" The episode in question was titled Before and After. Sadly, Chaka's voice actress, Leora Zuberman, passed away in April of 2023. The last thing on the list for Tier 1 is Goat's interview. This interview is available on YouTube and was uploaded by the channel Kidgel. The video features Scott Renaker performing an interpretive poem and dance. The video uploaded is titled Goat's Scrotum, a Poem, which is accurate to the content of the video, but it should be noted that the footage shown was the interview itself, which inspired the creation of the Goat character in the first place. This character would then show up as a cameo in shows like Megas XLR and Metalocalypse. Sadly, Goat's voice actor, Scott Renaker, passed away in February of 2023. We have The Undertaker cameo. As many of you may know, The Undertaker makes a cameo in episode 5 titled The Con. For those unaware, The Undertaker is an American retired professional wrestler who made his debut in the 1990s in the World Wrestling Federation, now known as World Wrestling Entertainment, or WWE for short. The Undertaker is a dark character inspired by horror films and the Western Dead, which is quite fitting for the show's gritty and grungy New York City aesthetic. The creators of the show actually got The Undertaker, Mark William Calloway, to voice his lines in the episode, which is pretty awesome to say the least. The episode The Con is actually the highest rated episode with a 1.8 household rating, which roughly equates to 1.9 million TV households having tuned in during the airing of the episode thanks to The Undertaker's guest appearance. However, a 1.8 household rating is relatively low in comparison to other successful shows, as most successful television shows have ratings of at least 2.0 or higher. Regardless, Chris Pernosky, the creator of the show, felt proud about it. Here's the clip.
American freaks rest in peace. I know we had our words, but man, I hate those guys. Adults dressing up in weirdo costumes.
Hey man, thanks. That was unbelievable. I am truly afraid of you now. I guess I was wrong.
And don't you forget it.
Hey, can I get a picture?
You want a picture? You got it.
Next, we have the Chinese animation studio Hong Ying. This studio was responsible for post-production work and compositing on the show Downtown. Some other shows they have worked on include Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, Batman the Animated Series, Chowder, Hey Arnold, Sabrina the Animated Series, and even Phineas and Ferb. Another animation studio called Slightly Offbeat, which was based in New Zealand, also helped on Downtown. However, what makes Hong Ying notable is that it was one of the first animation studios to use digital ink and paint, according to Chris Pernosky. Another interesting fact is that Hong Ying has a little Easter egg in the show Downtown. In episode 8, Limo, a Chinese restaurant called Hong Ying appears. The first half of the name is visible, but as you can see, the rest is obscured by schoolgirls in the foreground. However, Chris has confirmed that the Chinese symbols on the restaurant read Hong Ying. Also in episode 1, Sin Bin, there is graffiti on the wall of Alex's apartment that reads, "Pete sucks, commie bastard." One would assume that Hong Ying would take offense to this, considering they are based in a communist country. Surprisingly enough, they still worked on the scene and completed it with no issues or complaints to Chris and his team. Up next is the girl that Fruity hits on in episode 2, Train Pain. Her design heavily influenced the character design for the girl that Jamie hits on in episode 8 of Mega's XLR. As you can see, they share a similar hairstyle, a shoulder heart tattoo, and even a sleeveless collared shirt. Next are the interviews that were made available on the promotional DVD of the show. These interviews were hard to come by, and so I made it easier for everyone by just uploading it on my channel. So be sure to check it out if you're interested. I've done my best to enhance the audio and add much needed subtitles, since much of what the interviewees say is difficult to understand. I've also included some information alongside the interview videos, such as the confirmed identities of the interviewees and the names of the characters' respective voice actors. Next on the list is Chris Pernosky's vision for the show. In the commentary for episode 3, Hotspot, Chris states that his goal from the very beginning was to make the show feel dated. He wanted Downtown to have a Fat Albert or even Scooby-Doo style appeal, so that audiences could look back on it and think about how 90s Downtown truly felt. To conclude Tier 1, we have the uncut version of the show. Fortunately, this version is not lost and is the one available on YouTube. This is how most new viewers have discovered the show, and it's interesting to think that not many people realize they're watching the uncut version. The original version that aired on MTV was censored and did not include scenes such as this one in episode 4, Insomnia.
Hi, Jen.
You awake?
I'm awake now.
Can't sleep?
I finally dozed off, but then the phone rang.
Sorry. I figured you'd be up, and I just had to unload on a fellow insomniac. Leia brought this guy back, and they are having the loudest sex I ever heard. She's making all these fake-o noises. But what really kills me is that, can you keep it down?
The soundtrack of MTV's Downtown is a favorite among many in the show's community. However, much like the show itself, the soundtrack remains partially obscure. Many of the songs included have yet to be identified. This is evident by the occasional online comment from a fan seeking help with identifying a specific song from an episode. While the main original soundtrack, composed by Kimson Albert, has been widely shared online, identifying the other songs, particularly the licensed ones, has proven difficult. Impressively, some fans have been able to identify some licensed songs, such as Glass by Incubus, Bull in the Heather by Sonic Youth, and even Aneurysm by Nirvana. Others have even managed to uncover the songs sampled by Kimson Albert for his compositions on the show. Thanks to the Downtown community, I've created a comprehensive playlist on YouTube featuring all the known songs used in Downtown. You can find the link to the playlist in the description below. The first on the list for Tier 2 is the official website for Downtown. This website is very old school, obviously since it was used to promote a show from the 90s. It is a perfect example of how simple website design was back in the day. The website features quite a bit of information about the show that I am sure many current Downtown fans would love to sink their teeth into. The main page of the site contains 4 categories: characters, music, clip of the week, and episode info. Clicking on the characters category opens up a page that contains an image of all the main characters hanging around a stoop. Here, you can click on any character and you'll get to hear what they have to say. Next, in the music category, you get full access to the entire original soundtrack used in the show, which was composed by Kimson Albert. In the clip of the week category, you get an image of a distressed Chaka with the caption, "Chaka's bad karma." Unfortunately, the link doesn't seem to work properly. When you click on it, your computer will download a .ram file instead. I couldn't get the file to open, but I didn't mind since it's just a short clip of the show anyway. Lastly, we have the episode info category. This page contains all the air dates and times for each episode. To the right of this information, there is a small description for each episode and a video clip underneath it. The links to the video clips are broken, but I assume they would have been the weekly promo clips for the new episodes. I found it interesting that the 13th episode has an air date, time, and description, but no video clip. This is also the only episode whose title is displayed above the air date and time information, and it is highlighted in a different color than the other episodes. I don't know if any of this is significant, but it is interesting nonetheless, especially considering that the creators of the show claim that the 13th episode was never aired. Perhaps the lack of a video clip is proof of that. Next, we have the character profiles. These are briefly shown in the behind-the-scenes footage and show images of each main character in different poses around a body of text that contains a brief description of the character. These character profiles, on the other hand, which I found on Pinterest, appear to resemble the ones in the footage. If you look closely, though, you'll notice that the ones on Pinterest have different font colors, border colors, and character poses than the ones from the behind-the-scenes footage. This leads me to believe that the Pinterest images might be fan-made recreations, as they do not match how the original character profiles appear in the video. Interestingly enough, the art and font on the Pinterest character profiles are official. Everything just seems to be edited differently, so they may be official after all. Last on the list is the concept art that has been released to the public by Chris Pernosky, the creator of Downtown, and Dino Alberto, a character designer for the show. Pernosky shared his concept art on Instagram, while Alberto shared his on his own portfolio website. All of the art is beautifully drawn, and the notes that accompany it provide some insight on the rules artists had to follow to keep the art style consistent for the show. Pedro Pascal is a Chilean-American actor who is best known for his roles as Oberyn Martell in the HBO fantasy drama series Game of Thrones, Din Djarin in the Disney Plus sci-fi series The Mandalorian, and Joe Miller in the HBO drama series The Last of Us. A lesser-known fact is that Pedro Balmaceda is Pascal's birth name. In the early 2000s, after the death of his mother, he changed his stage name to Pascal to honor her, and because he felt that Americans had difficulty pronouncing his original surname. He used his birth name in the 1990s as evidenced by his first acting credit for the 1999 MTV show Undressed. Interestingly, Pascal was involved in the making of Downtown during this time, voicing a character in episode 3, Hotspot.
You're good!
I know!
Hey, aren't you that girl who was dancing in the cage the other night?
Maybe. It's all kind of a blur, you know?
Yeah, I do know.
This place is really banging tonight. It's much better than one of those powerhouse kind of places.
Yeah, they're really good here about sifting out the rejects. I saw this one guy get turned away because he was wearing a mesh top.
Mesh? He should be banned. But please, I know a place even better than this.
Yeah? Cool. Let's check it out.
As seen in the interview video on my channel, Tony Surinage is one of the two people who inspired Matt's character. A graffiti artist who later became a master painter, Tony Surinage went by his tag name, Sub, during his graffiti days. He is responsible for much of Matt's graffiti art seen in the show, like the ones in episode 6, Graffiti. He also came up with Matt's tag name, Minus. Surinage also painted and designed many of the graffiti backgrounds seen throughout the show. He made a cameo appearance in episode 6 as Sub in reference to himself. And yes, he voiced the character too. Here's the clip.
6 train, and not a moment too soon. I swear, Fruity, if we get busted because you tripped the circuit, it's okay. I've got enough fake IDs for all of us. Sub, man, you scared me half to death.
What's up, Minus? Dude, your spider senses must be slipping, man. I've been watching you for like 10 minutes.
Hey, I guess my mind's on painting. You know, with the fire and all.
I understand, man. Who are the guests?
Some people.
Yo, man, I just heard folks talking about that water tower piece you painted last month.
What piece?
I saw kids taking flicks of it last week, man. You're like a hero, bro. Some are even saying that you're dead.
Really? Cool.
Yeah, man. People are sweating it. Anyway, take care.
Sub? Minus? You guys got stupid names.
Matt, man, you never told me about any water tower. Are there any other secrets you're keeping from me?
Next are the animation mistakes that can be found throughout the show. These mistakes were mainly caused by the Hongying Animation Studio. Chris and his team had to ship many of the scenes back to Hongying for corrections, multiple times in some cases. This was often because the scenes did not meet Chris's standards. The following are some of the examples of the many animation mistakes found throughout the show.
Thank you. You know, I think that's the first time you referred to me as a girl and not as, like, the asexual friend that you have.
Oh.
You know? So, I mean, how come you look like death warmed over? What, are you trying to appeal to the vampire chick?
I told you, she's not a vampire.
Oh.
She's a goth.
Right.
She's... Today, I am a man. I'm afraid to Look, what was that?
The fire hydrant?
Okay, if this is such a matter of personal pride, why not, have a race, okay? And, have a train race or something. Whoever loses has to walk around in one of these bathing suits I have deemed unfit for human consumption.
I was the one dancing in the fountain in Washington Square Park that day. And looking really hot, with all the guys checking me out. Matt and Fruity especially.
Chris was unhappy with how many of the scenes turned out in the final version of the show. Lupo is a cartoon character created by David Antonucci, the mind behind shows like The Brothers Grunt, which aired on MTV from 1994 to 1995, and his more successful creation, Ed, Edd and Eddy, which ran on Cartoon Network from 1999 to 2008. Lupo stars in an adult animated comedy short film titled Lupo the Butcher, which premiered in 1987 at Spike and Mike's Festival of Animation, a touring showcase of award-winning short films. The short features Lupo, a short-tempered butcher who explodes in a flurry of swearing whenever something goes wrong in his shop. Due to its graphic violence and gore, I'll only be showing snippets of the film. Written and directed by David Antonucci with production by Marv Newlands International Rocket Ship Limited, Lupo the Butcher achieved success and garnered a cult following. Interestingly, this character made a cameo appearance in episode 12, Cropsey Clanners. Here's the clip.
Hey, Ephraim, don't hit your sister! I mean cousin. I mean Ed. Whatever. That's Silas.
He sure is a cat.
I know. I'm the luckiest girl in the world.
For Tier 3, we have George Christick's blog. George Christick, the story editor, made a blog on October 6, 2007, announcing the availability of Downtown DVDs. As stated on his blog post, available for the first and only time, you get your own signed, limited edition, region-free, 3-disc promotional set of all 13 episodes. The blog goes on to state that customers will be charged $30 to cover shipping, handling, DVD media, and the box. Christick highlights that the episodes on the DVDs are free as the DVDs themselves are a promotional item and not for resale. I'm guessing this was because they would have needed Paramount's approval for an official release of the DVD. As it stands, these DVDs are the only way for fans to get their hands on a physical version of MTV's Downtown from the creators of the show. This film was created by Chris Pernosky as his thesis student film at the School of Visual Arts in 1994. It is also the film on which MTV's Downtown was loosely based on. The short depicts New York City in the 90s through Pernosky's lens. It was animated entirely on paper, without the use of computers, unlike MTV's Downtown, which used digital ink and paint for some of the animation. Here's the clip.
My left nostril. Yeah. Shut up, bitch. What you hear about? Get the hell out of here, you fucking kids! I kill you! What? You're destroying the city. Who you screaming at, old man? You're breaking it all, you fucking kids. God damn you, son of a bitch! I'm gonna kill you.
Wait, I'll come back tomorrow and paint on your head, man.
No shit, old man.
Where you
paint? Get out of here. Why don't you paint something good? Why don't you paint a mosaic on the floor or something? Keep your fingers on the trigger.
Hey, Baba, what's up, baby? Hey, how you doing, Ron? You still crazy?
Fine Corinthian leather.
is wrong. That motherfucking goddamn space-night rum. Hello, my name is Cheese. You say Columbus and I freeze. You look here, crop. Hey, Leoy. See a smile is a 12-inch boy. We're no gang, we're a team. When we sleep, a 12 we dream. I like 12, but it's good for me. I like 12, but it's 4 times 3. You like 12, but it's good for you. You like 12, but it's 6 times 2.
It's time to get up. Timothy, I want you out of that bed right now. Today is the day that you were supposed to go see your grandfather, and I want you to go and fulfill that promise. You promised me. I have something here I want you to bring to him. Timothy, get up.
Mecca, one of the 8 main characters in Downtown, is Chaka's best friend and a hopeless romantic. Her most striking feature is her pink hair. While watching the show, you might wonder why her hair is pink. Though it's never explained in the show, you might be surprised to learn that there's a real reason behind it. In an interview with Chris Pernosky, the show's creator, on Cable News Network, Pernosky mentioned that he was wrapping up interviews for the night. While searching for people to cast for Downtown, he spotted a group of friends, one of whom had pink hair. This feature alone intrigued him enough to approach them and ask for an interview. The people he is referring to are Leora Zuberman, Aurora Lucia Levy, and their friend Satya. What you're seeing on screen is the interview that Pernosky was referring to. If you look closely at Leora, the girl on the far left sitting on the ground, you'll see her pink dyed hair when she takes off her hat. Although Mecca's character was based on Aurora Lucia Levy, it's interesting to know that other aspects of her character, specifically her hair color, were modeled after Leora. This just goes to show the amount of attention to detail the team behind Downtown wanted to put into their show, drawing inspiration from the real-life people who inspired their characters. Tier 4, we have the extra features and art that is available on the DVD. As mentioned before, some art has been made public by both Chris Pernosky and Dino Alberto, but what is found on the DVD is a treasure trove in comparison. The extra content that can only be found on the DVD in its original quality include official art, backgrounds, galleries, Easter eggs, and interviews on the people who inspired the characters on the show. They also have the official character profiles I had mentioned earlier. These look a lot different from the ones shown on Pinterest and in the behind the scenes footage on YouTube. It's almost like a combination of the two, which is very odd. We have Shaggy. As seen in the concept art for Alex, Shaggy from the Scooby-Doo franchise was a heavy influence on Alex's physical appearance. Additionally, a Shaggy and Scooby-Doo character hybrid makes an appearance as a sort of Easter egg in episode 5, The Con. Goat and Serena's design. This refers to the difficulty of animating both of these characters. I learned this from chatting with Ian McNaught, an animator who worked on the show. McNaught commented, although they were awesome characters, Goat and Serena were the most difficult to animate because of the crazy amount of detail in their designs. He clarifies that he's speaking from his and his friends' experience at the time, not for all the other animators. McNaught explains that the animators were paid by the foot, meaning by the number of frames of approved animation they completed each week. So anything that slowed them down, like the intricate details of Goat's spikes, scales, and chains, or Serena's clothes, hair curls, and rings, or any complex shots with many characters, could be frustrating. He concludes by saying that despite the challenges, he appreciated the overall experience working on the show. He also adds that characters like Alex and Fruity were, in comparison, less complicated to animate. Moving on to Tier 5 are the interviews of the people that inspired the characters on the show. 2 of these interviews are available on YouTube for both Serena and Goat's characters. The rest of the interviews can actually be found in the promotional DVD. Some other interviews are briefly shown in the behind-the-scenes footage, but only last a few seconds with little to no audio. There are a total of 7 interviews for the 8 main characters that are in the show. The one character that did not have an interview was Mecca. The creators most likely didn't need to interview anyone else since Mecca is Chaka's best friend, and Chaka was inspired by Leora Zuberman. Best friends are usually very similar to one another, therefore they probably just made Mecca similar to Chaka, thus bypassing the need to interview anyone else for that part. Turns out the symbol on the back of Goat's jacket is not actually a regular peace sign, rather an inverted one that is supposed to represent a certain part of a woman's anatomy. Next is the furry in episode 5, The Con. The character in the cat costume is supposed to be Ann Bernstein, the head writer of Downtown. It appears to be a regular cat costume, but Chris has made it clear that the people shown in the scene are supposed to be furries. I don't know about you all, but when I think of furries, I picture these guys. But I guess the way furries look has just drastically changed over the years, or something. I don't know. Up next is the copyright issue found in the show. Due to the copyrighted music and other references to intellectual property not owned by MTV, it is unlikely that there will ever be an official DVD of MTV's Downtown. The problem lies in the use of said copyrighted material, some of which was not cleared with the original copyright holders before being used in the show. For example, the Starship Enterprise from the Star Trek franchise is shown in the show without permission. However, in the case of Jen singing Somebody's Watching Me by Rockwell, MTV's legal team was able to obtain clearance for the show to use the song.
I always feel like somebody's watching me. Who's playing tricks on me? Oh, I always feel like somebody's watching me. And they're watching you, miss. I'm not wearing a bra, even though I certainly need one. Oh, and they're definitely watching you, mister. If I flash enough cash tonight, maybe the ladies will ignore my comb over. Oh, come on, people, lighten up. It's Saturday night. Have a little fun.
Next is Lizzie's inspiration. It turns out that Lizzie, a character who makes brief appearances throughout the show, was actually inspired by a friend of Leora and Satya, the girls who helped inspire Chaka and Mecha. In Leora and Satya's interview, you can actually hear them reference this friend in one of the many stories they mentioned. It's a shame this character wasn't shown more throughout the show, since her design is pretty cool and many fans seem to admire her as a character.
Okay, so I wind up, I beep her and she calls me back. And as she calls me back, Satya walks by, and I'm like, Christy, call me right back. I gotta go, call me right back. So I hang up the phone with her, and I was like, Satya, you don't want to go out tonight, do you? You know, like, please come out with me, because I just called Christy. And she's like, I pity you. I'm like, okay, we're going out. I was like, no way. So we like ditched out, and like, whatever, it was just like, didn't even wait for her to call back. The most eeriest thing about her was that she looks like death. Like death impersonated. She's like, she's like you know, she just looks like death.
The eeriest thing about her, she looks like death impersonated. It's so weird. It's not like black makeup and black hair. She's not goth, but it's like, it's in her face. You can see it in her eyes and her nose. And it's so creepy. It's like death. Like, she's like dead. Like frozen dead.
Land or something. I'm not into the goth thing, it's too depressing.
Next up is the Jim Henson Company. The actual Cookie Monster character, owned by the Jim Henson Company, made an appearance in the show as a design on Alex's Wubby. If you're wondering what a Wubby is, it's basically any object that you might have had as a child that you kept close for comfort. To use Cookie Monster in the show, Chris and his team had to get clearance from the Jim Henson Company. They were worried at first because the episode in which the character would appear, before and after, is the one about Chaka shaving her private area, taking a Polaroid of it, and then losing it. Chris didn't expect to get clearance, but to his surprise, they did. Chris theorized that the Jim Henson Company might have skimmed the details of the show and overlooked the part about Chaka and her Polaroid. It's also interesting to note that this episode ended up being nominated for a Primetime Emmy Award in the Outstanding Animated Program category. Next is the background art. Unfortunately, thousands of the beautifully painted backgrounds that decorate the show were likely lost or destroyed forever. When the backgrounds were shipped to China, presumably to Hong Ying's animation studio for animation work, they were held up at customs on their shipment back to the US. MTV refused to pay the fees, and Chris didn't have the money to pay them himself. Since the paintings couldn't get to where they needed to go, they were most likely thrown out or destroyed by US Customs. In one of the episode commentaries, Chris stated that he regrets not paying the fees. Up next is Adam Sandler. Before Downtown came to be, Chris met with Adam Sandler, an American actor best known for his roles in movies like Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, and Uncut Gems, and pitched him a role in an upcoming show he was working on, Downtown. Chris met with Sandler a second time and asked him if he would like to voice the main lead of Downtown, thinking that Sandler had already thought over his pitch the first time. However, Sandler rudely rejected Chris and brushed him off. This next one is really interesting, considering how many of Downtown's fan base want a second season. It turns out that there was a plan for a second season, but the show was unfortunately canceled due to poor ratings. Not much is known about the second season, but what I did manage to find while researching this topic is quite interesting. According to George Christic, the story editor for Downtown, one of the episodes for season 2 was going to be titled Wedge's Hot Mom. The episode would have been about everyone going to Wedge's house because they learned that he apparently had a hot mom. The episode would have ended with Goat being the one one who ended up with Wedge's mom. Christic also mentions that the writing for this episode, along with any other development work, was likely archived by either Ann Bernstein, the head writer, or MTV. It's fascinating to know that more information on the second season may still be out there somewhere. This is the kid version of Chaka seen in episode 12, voiced by Chris Pernosky's niece. Pernosky proudly mentioned this in the DVD commentary for that episode. It must have been incredibly cool for her to voice a character on a show like Downtown. I wonder if she still thinks it's cool looking back on it, especially considering how coveted voicing a character on the show is. Warning, spoilers for the 1980s horror film Mother's Day. This entry references a scene at the end of episode 12 of Downtown titled Cropsey Clanners. In this scene, the Jersey Devil jumps on the hood of Jen's boss's car. Right as everyone freaks out, the camera freezes on the Jersey Devil, then the credits roll. As Chris Pernosky pointed out, this scene directly references the final scene in Mother's Day. In the film, Queenie, a deformed forest dweller who is the sister of the main villain, jumps out of the woods to attack the main characters. Similar to Downtown, the scene in Mother's Day also features a freeze frame right before the credits roll. Interestingly, Mother's Day is set in the woods of New Jersey, the same setting as depicted in the Cropsey Clanners episode. In episode 12, Jen mentions the Cropseys during the group car ride to New Jersey. She claims they're a real group of inbred people living hidden in the mountains. Mecca asks how to identify them, and Jen says they all have one physical feature in common, a monobrow. They supposedly have their own society with its own rules and morals. I'd also like to point out that this is the moment where one of my favorite jokes aimed at Jen happens. Here's a clip.
They hate everyone and everything that's not one of them.
Kinda like you, Jen.
According to Chris Pernosky, the Cropsey Clanners were based on real groups called the Jackson Whites and the Pineys of New Jersey. In reality, the Ramapo Mountains, likely the mountains Jen referenced earlier in the episode, hold stories of these two intriguing groups. The Jackson Whites, shrouded in myth, were said to be a mix of refugees, slaves, and Native Americans living in isolation. This derogatory term, appearing around the 1900s, fueled misconceptions and fear, according to a Weird NJ online news article. However, research by historians like David S. Cohen paints a different picture. These were likely families of Dutch descent, possibly intermarrying with Lenape people, who simply preferred a secluded life in the mountains. Similarly, the Pineys of the New Jersey Pinelands were depicted as rough, isolated hermits. Legends arose of them being descended from pirates or outlaws. The reality is, these were resourceful communities living off the land for generations. They fished, hunted, and developed a deep knowledge of the unique Pinelands ecosystem. Both groups faced prejudice due to their lifestyles. However, historical research offers a more accurate picture of their resilience and connection to their land. Speaking of the DVDs, for Tier 6, I listed the promotional DVDs themselves. These DVDs were available for a limited time between 2007 and 2022, which contains a lot of extra content that can't be found anywhere else in its original quality. The interviews of the people that inspired the characters on the show are actually heavily cut down. This is evident in the constant white flashes you see that were used to transition to the next scene in the interview. In my video where I had the amazing opportunity to interview Melody Henry, the person who inspired Serena, she also points out that her original interview for the Downtown show was actually much longer than the version that has been made publicly available.
This thing, I don't even know where it came from, but they asked me a lot of questions and it went on for I feel like it went on for a long time. I don't remember how long, but it was long. And I wish I knew where all that footage was now, because I'd love to know what I said 20, some odd years ago.
Goat's original interview video, according to Chris, is actually around 18 minutes long and was heavily cut down to make it fit onto the promotional DVD. Up next is Mecca's interview. In part 1 of my Downtown Iceberg video, I assumed that Mecca's character had not gotten an interview to be used as reference for the character. However, after reaching out to Aurora Lucia Levy, the voice actress for Mecca, she explained that she was the person who was interviewed and later given the role to voice Mecca. The interview itself is nowhere to be found online, but Aurora gave some good news, saying that she actually still has the interview on VHS. She had been meaning to digitize it and share it online, but hasn't been able to get around to it just yet. As of the making of this video, she has shared a small clip of the VHS on her TikTok account. So if you're interested, be sure to check out her TikTok.
So we called me that night and we're talking, and I totally decided that I really like this guy, and I was like, oh my god. I was like, wow, It was like this whole enlightenment.
Next is the secret character. In the concept art from the Downtown DVD, I came across a character named Claire. There isn't much information about her besides what's shown here. My best guess is that she was originally part of the main cast, but was cut for some reason. And while I'm at it, here's some concept art that was made for Serena. It's so interesting to see all the different designs that were made before her finalized look in the show. Last but not least is Tier 7. For this tier, we have the Animation Magazine. For those unfamiliar, the Animation Magazine is a monthly publication that covers the technology, VFX, art, and business of animation worldwide. It provides in-depth articles on all forms of animation, including feature films, television, anime, and more. What's awesome is that there is an issue of Animation Magazine that covers MTV's Downtown and features a still of the show on its front cover. I've not seen any mention of this magazine anywhere online. I managed to find a page on the Animation Magazine website where they have an archive of all their issues throughout the years since the 1980s. And lo and behold, I found the magazine I was looking for. It even allows you to buy the magazine, which was the first thing I did on impulse. Considering there's practically nothing else out there that officially represents Downtown, I bought it to add to my collection of other Downtown-related merch, which now consists of a grand total of 4 items. My own custom-made Downtown shirt, custom-made poster, the promotional DVD, and now this magazine. This entry is by far the most disturbing piece of information I've uncovered about Downtown. So, for Tier 6, there's the dark end credit scene. Many fans of Downtown might be familiar with the end credit scenes that play after each episode. Well, prepare to be surprised. One of them was planned to be the darkest ever. According to Chris Pernosky, storyboard artist Jody Schaefer suggested that the end credits for the 12th episode, Cropsey Clanners, depict the Cropsey Clanners and Jersey Devil eating the corpses of the Downtown crew. This was originally intended for the show, but was later changed by Frank Gresham, who advised Pernosky on the end credits that was eventually used. On to Tier 7. We have the signed promotional DVD. This is essentially the same DVD as the regular promotional DVD, except that it has Chris Pernosky's signature on the front of the case. What's interesting is that these DVDs are said to be the ones that were made available for people to purchase from the blog. However, some DVDs that have been listed on the internet do not come with the signature. Since the DVDs were available on the blog for purchase for almost 15 years, it is likely that after some time, Christic was not able to get in touch with Pernosky as frequently to add his signature to the box before shipment. According to Chris Pernosky, Darth Maul, a character publicly known for his first appearance in the 1999 film Star Wars Episode I, The Phantom Menace, was technically adapted for production much earlier. This earlier appearance came as a Halloween costume worn by one of Alex's geeky friends on MTV's Downtown. As you can see, the costume consists of similarly designed red face paint, a crown of small horns, a black robe with a belt, and a red double-bladed lightsaber. Pernosky claims he was able to accurately depict Darth Maul before his public debut in The Phantom Menace because his girlfriend at the time worked at a photo agency taking pictures for a Star Wars promotional magazine. She leaked the pictures to Chris Pernosky, revealing the character's design. This is how Darth Maul ended up in MTV's Downtown. Although the episode featuring Darth Maul didn't air until after Star Wars Episode I, The Phantom Menace had been released, it's still interesting to note that a character from a popular franchise was leaked and made its first appearance on a show like MTV's Downtown. While The Phantom Menace wasn't well received by Star Wars fans upon its release, and Chris Pernosky himself didn't enjoy the movie either. And with that being said, the MTV's Downtown Iceberg has come to an end. I hope you all enjoyed this video and learned something new. Thank you for watching.